Howdy friends, Steve DePoe here for the Rose Realty team with this week's real estate vlog for North Texas. Is now the perfect time to list your house. But before I get into that, you may recall at the end of last week's vlog, what confuses millennials the most about real estate. We heard some barking in the background and I made reference to our Yorkie, Corky. Yes, his name is Corky the Yorkie. And I got a lot of emails and comments and texts and calls from people saying, hey, what does Corky look like? We'd like to know what Corky looks like. Well, here's a picture of Corky. Corky's actually the Rose Realty team mascot. We adopted him 3 years ago this past July. We actually fostered him at first, and then we just couldn't give him up because he's such a cutie. And so we decided to adopt him. So we adopted him, like I said, about 3 years ago this past July. And he's become the Rose Realty team mascot. So now we've had a proper introduction to Corky the Yorkie. And get to rolling on to things is now the perfect time to list your house. In short, the answer is yes. There's been a housing shortage in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex for something like the last 10 or 15 years or more, right? Part of this is due to the influx of people. So we get something like 250,000 to 500,000 people per year who move into the Metroplex. And then there's people are moving away from more densely populated areas like the city of Dallas or the city of Fort Worth into more rural areas. The Metroplex, you may or may not know, is kind of growing, especially north and west of where we currently are. They're predicting that maybe in 10 years or so, Denton. So take a look at a map and see where Denton is. Denton will be the middle of the Metroplex. Think of that. Denton, which is right now up in the upper northwest corner, will become the middle or the center of the Metroplex. It's freaky. It's freaky when you think about it. But more people are moving in, and people are moving away from away from the Dallas and Fort Worth areas into more rural areas. So people have to get it done, right? People have to decide what they want to do. Do they want to upsize? Do they want to downsize? Do they want a vacation property, or maybe even an investment property? And they've got to start they might be starting also about accelerating their life a bit after the COVID thing, which is when we come down to it, going to be a year-long event almost, right? So that year-long event's going to happen, and people are going to say, I'm tired of it, I'm sick of it, I'm done with it, let's get on with our lives. And then bingo, bango, people are going to be sucking up properties right and left. And so a couple of important things to do is to understand, to get your house into inventory is going to be how much your house is worth, how much equity you have in the house, and maybe potentially what you have to do to the house, do a little tweak in here, maybe paint the new carpet, whatever, to get it showroom ready for listing. And the Rose Realty team obviously can help you with that. Now, it's difficult to know, obviously, what the future holds. If any agent comes and tells you for sure what's going to happen in the future, I turn 180 degrees and run the other direction. I don't know what's going to happen 110%. But what I can tell you is, again, we have a housing shortage in the Metroplex, and people continue to move in. So, so inventory goes quickly. Good inventory goes quickly. Now, there's always inventory waiting in the wings. What does that mean? There are people who are thinking about it. There are people who are saying, should I list? Am I not going to list? Should we move? Should we downsize, upsize? Should we look for a house with a pool? And they're kind of waiting in the wings until something grabs their attention, and then bingo, they decide, okay, let's do it. Let's move, let's upsize, let's downsize. The kids moved out, so let's go into an active adult community, whatever. And we can obviously help you understand where those places are in the area, what are the best buys, where we have the most inventory, where you can spread out, all those kinds of things. Rose Realty team can obviously, help you with all that kind of jazz. Now, the first thing to do is obviously talk to a real estate agent, talk to the Rose Realty team, so you can understand, what's going on with your house. What we do then, we kind of get the ball rolling, and we talk to current customers, past customers, current friends. Then we also talk to colleagues in our office and our satellite offices, and say, here's what's going on. We've got, Joan and Bill Smith who are thinking about selling their house. Here's the specs on it. you know of anybody who might be interested in it. You'll be surprised. I mean, the Rose Realty team actually markets the real estate to the 3 biggest cities in the country that move into the Metroplex on a yearly basis. We market to them, we get them out of their location into the Metroplex so they can start living the good life like we all live here. Excuse me. So now you're thinking about selling. So now you've got the bug and you start thinking about selling. We connect with us and we start this kind of matchmaking process. Well, what's that? So we give you an app. Hey, everybody's got an app and so do we. We're not going to be left out in the dark. And so we give you our app and you start kind of virtually looking around, trying to understand, what am I interested in terms of a house? Where could it cost me? How much could it cost me? Where's that going to be? Type of thing. And we get an understanding of where you could live, where your new location, where your new house could be, and how much it could cost you. We then start talking to people in our office to see whether there's something similar that's not on the market yet. Some people could be waiting, like I said, and we start ginning up that interest, not only in the house that you want to buy, but also in your house when you're interested in selling it. Again, there's no crystal ball. We can't predict the future. If I had a crystal ball, I would have won the lottery years ago, and I'd be living out on Maui. Okay, but I'm just saying. But again, what I can tell you is this: there's a housing shortage in the Metroplex. There has been for about 10 or 15 years. People continue to move here, and that's not likely to stop because businesses are moving here. Businesses are moving out of some of the more restrictive places like California over this COVID-19 thing, and they're moving here because they figure it's a freer state. They have more relaxation of rules and that kind of stuff. Irregardless of what you like or may not like of what Governor Abbott did, we're a lot better off than a lot of other states. So think about that. Now, this whole COVID thing, this isn't. We're in a small kind of setback or bump in the road. It's not like it was in 2008. 2008 was a recession that was caused by real estate. It was a real estate-led recession. There was lax lending. People got overextended, and it was like that first domino thing happened, right? Somebody somewhere lost a job, and they couldn't pay their mortgage, and the next thing, and the next person, and before you knew it, we were in a full-blown crisis. Now, obviously, the Metroplex didn't turn out as bad as other parts of the country. Remember what we heard about Arizona and Nevada? Houses had lost 50% of their value. Remember what happened here? Our housing values only went up 1 or 2%, where they lost half their value in some places in California and Arizona and Nevada and other places. Okay, so we turned out very, very well in that particular 2008 2009 timeframe. But this isn't like that. Okay, we've had really strict lending guidelines and very strict rules that allow people to build equity in their houses and not have to have foreclosures happen on them. There's been record low foreclosures, and so that's all because of these guidelines that the federal government put in. So it's not like the last time. We don't expect the same stuff to happen as happened back in 2008 and 2009. So is now a good time to list your house? You bet it is. Now's a great time to list your house. Give us a call. Our contact information is at the end of the vlog, like it always is. Hey, give me a call. Send me an email. We'll get it. We'll do a free CMA on your house so you can understand what your house is worth. You'd be surprised. Don't go by what the neighbor sold their house at or the person down the block sold their house at. You've got to understand what your house in its current condition could sell for. Then you understand what your equity is, and then what you can do with that equity to help continue to and help build additional wealth for your family. Just something to consider. Now, next week, we're going to talk about what's holding millennials back. I've been picking on millennials a lot lately, but they're a really interesting group. They're not like the baby boomers were or other groups like Gen Xers were and those kinds of things. Millennials are a little bit different group. It fascinates me to research them and talk about them. So next Friday is going to be what's holding millennials back from buying houses. Stay tuned for that one. This is Steve DePoe. Thanks for tuning in. This is Steve DePoe with the Rose Realty Team. I'm going to bounce.